Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome. It is Friday. Crazy how time flies, huh? Friday, and it is 10 past 2 Central PM. Central PM. It's 10 past 2 Central European time here in the Netherlands. Um, it's Friday. Awesome. It's weekend, sort of, at least. I was catching up on some work and quickly had to go our lunch. Therefore, I'm a slight bit late, but we are pretty close on the time still. Um, I have been progressing on my beanie since last time, most definitely. Because we were watching a bit of television last night and I was knitting on that beanie. Not that I made awesome much progress, but I definitely got a couple of rows done. So that was nice. And then we still have our WaffleChic Shrug. So just quickly to give the summary and update. Beanie, as you may see, it is still limited how far we are here, but we are progressing. Very pleasing. Good morning. Good morning, Megan. Wonderful to see you. Happy Friday to you as well. Good morning, Lisa, from the airport. And thank you for reminding everybody to hit the thumbs up. The likes really do help me. They're absolutely free to give. It costs you nothing, but it helps me. So please, 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 thumbs up. Safe travels, Lisa. Hello and good morning, Susan. So yeah, so I did a little bit. So I've done something on this gorgeous beanie, and I really actually like how this feel is. So it has a nice feel. Just putting it a bit on the side here because that's not the intention. Because I got caked up one more skein for the waffle chick shrug, and I cake them up because I use the yarn spindles, so I can pull nicely from the outside, and they barely don't get tangled. Well, this could get a bit tangled by the putting over. It's a little bit tight wound. Okay. Ta-ta! We are here. We are almost center. So that's nice. That's ready. And I haven't done anything on this since Wednesday, I will admit. So we are still here where we ended because I've been busy. It's been busy here in the Netherlands. Thursday, work, work, work. And what did I else do yesterday? Well, work. And I prepared, of course, the Sort My Stash video. On Monday, there's going to be out a new Sort My Stash video, and that is part one of all my hobby twister cakes, as well as my yarn art flowers and yarn art flowers and moonlight. Stay tuned for those. But ta-ta, this is a set where we are, and I did measure. Um, and I measured my arms. That said, when I've measured it with my single basic underneath as well as my cardigan on top. And with my cardigan, I will need about, I guess, it sounds crazy when I say 17 inches, um, or 43 centimeters. Anyhow, that is approximately what I need to have a comfy fit in this. So I'm just gonna quickly measure to see how far do we have to go yet. And we are at 12. So we do have 12 inches. So we do have still a fair headway. So that's approximately 12 centimeters for those that's curious in centimeters. How much are 2 repeats? It's probably like half an inch. Yeah, that's pretty good. So I'll need another 12 repeats of this before we can sew it together. So we know what we are up for, so to say. We do definitely know what we are up for today. Good afternoon, Helle. Wonderful to have you with us. I hope you succeeded getting started on the front piece of the baby sweater. And let's see, I need to get you guys with me. And if you haven't gotten it yet, don't forget those hydrate, 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 hydrate. Um, always good to have. So don't forget to hydrate. But yeah, Lisa, so that's pretty close. Like you're very early at the airport, early flight. I guess you'll land like in the evening here then, at best. When are you departing? Like how long time until boarding? Just of curiosity's sakes. I wanna go to Barcelona myself, but nope, not happening. That said, I do wanna I do believe that Sagrada de Familia is supposed to be finished this year in 2026. And so it could be that they're still building a bit on that gorgeous church. But I really want to go there myself to see it again because I were in Barcelona last time was in 2009, which is a long time ago. And I think in a few years, I'd love to make a weekend trip or an extended weekend trip, like a 3-day trip to Barcelona. For me, it's not that far. Um, to see the Sagrada de Familia and just to enjoy it and then go back home, right? Like it's like a been there, done that. It's a world monument. Definitely, it's definitely worth a watch. Let's see if we can get started on this lovely cake that I caked up for myself. That comes from underneath there. Here we go. You can just see it on the outside edge. I am though gonna put it a bit further to the side because it is easier for me that it's not in the way. We depart in an hour. We also have a 7-hour layover after this flight. A 7-hour layover? My goodness. We're flying via what? Frankfurt? Or were you flying? Why are you having a layover? London? Amsterdam? Frankfurt? Paris could also be an option. 7-hour layover. Goodness. Madrid, I guess, but that sounds crazy to option for that. Good morning, Revenant. You can just reach to wish Lisa a good travel because she's preparing for her travels. So let's see, I could do one more. And so what I do tend to do when I add, I actually do 2 layers and pull both through, but I leave the other one. So this would be my new end here. This is my old end, but I just have this single pull through where I actually technically have 2 pieces of yarn. And I intentionally do that because it kind of helps lock in the yarn just a little bit better without any knots. And you can barely not see it on the end product. So Montreal. Oh, who would have thought? Okay, so I guess then you're gonna land in the morning in Barcelona because knowing about how long it takes to fly from there to here, plus um, plus a 7-hour layover, it's gonna be morning. Tomorrow morning you're landing there. It's not gonna be any time earlier than that, or you have a quick speed jet. Were you flying Air Canada? So yeah, we need about another 12 rows. Um, then we can talk about me sewing this together. We get to Barcelona at 9 a.m. in the morning. Okay, cool. I did hang out with a bunch of Canadians last weekend from all over Canada. Super nice people, really like them. Of course, it didn't help that they gave a bunch of compliments too, so thank you to them. They went on to a competition in Denmark before they're going back home. I genuinely love to revisit Canada. or visit Canada at some stage. I only flew over Canada on my way to the States once, but I'd generally like to visit Canada one day. We fly from Winnipeg to Montreal, then to Barcelona. The airport is too small for flights that large. Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. There are just airports where you are forced to have layover flights. Basically, when we went to some of my family in New Zealand, their local airport is also like a tiny one with the, you know, the turbojets or the propeller jets flying in and out. And I guess it was just like, 50 people on the plane ish size planes that we were flying with. Um, it worked out fine for what we needed. It was just, a bit funny. Oh, that's actually on the other side than I had loved them to be. Anyhow, we'll ignore for now. We can weave in ends soon, or when we have passed this again. So as I said, we do have a fair amount rows to go before I can start sewing this shrug together. Um, but we are more than 2/3. I'm not sure why I'm being cold right now. Give me one moment. I better check up. Did not reach to pick it up. They'll call back if they think it's important. Or I can see if I can get anything on that number because thing is, generally I'd like to know who calls me because they do allow full selling. And if I can block their numbers, they don't get to call me because I really don't want all of these people trying to convince me to buy stuffs. They usually get I'm not interested. Um, okay, I get here other numbers. No, it's not apparently a number I can search on. Okay, whatever. They can call me back if it's important. They will. That's my conclusion. Um, that is time to do the and then two regulars, front post two regulars. Anyhow, yeah. So they do phone selling here in the Netherlands. That's absolutely allowed, and I think it should be prohibited. Um, but I guess every country feels like that. At the same time, in the Netherlands, they allow door-to-door sales, where that is something it's prohibited in Denmark. So that is something I utterly disgust. When people come and in your face try to sell you something in your own home, I don't think that that should be allowed. Honestly, I believe that if I need anything, I will have enough ability to go and buy it on my own or look for the informations to go get it on my own. I do not need somebody on my doorstep telling me that I need solar panels, which I already have on my roof, but they didn't check the backside of my house first. Um, Lisa does recommend me to come in the summer because the winter sucks. Thank you. Good to know. I had almost not figured it out on my own. um, Sometimes I'm wondering if I need to reach out to the Canadians and the Canadian Federation and say, hey, could you be interested in like some sort of a training camp or something like that that I can combine it and maybe I can get some costs covered. I'll have to check with Richard if that could be interesting for them. Because I think it could be absolutely funny to do as in a super fun endeavor. Lisa says here, I just bought the pattern for the shawl I showed last time, but it was a bad pattern and yarn combo for traveling. I was using an unplied cake, so now I'm using a twisted cake and the Ceylon shawl. Okay, yeah, I totally get the not wanting to um like we need to make choices sometimes, right? So that's just how it is. Let's see, we need regulars here. So I can absolutely relate to that. Um, but I think that could be funny. They do have like a big center in Toronto back when they had the Pan American Games that they built there. West Coast Canada is fine in the winter. So like, let's see, Vancouver area. I guess that's West Coast, if my geography allows me to remember correctly. Yeah, Vancouver is West Coast. Thank you. Revenant has started another VIP making a modern granny baby blanket using some vintage yarn from the 1970s. I think it's just amazing that the yarn is still holding so long, but it is everlasting almost, right? Because like I'm going through my stash and I'm adding up all the yarns I have and how much lifetime crocheting I have in them, and I'm like, it is going to last me a lifetime. So it better has to be good. Yeah, Lisa Ref is a blanket machine. I totally agree. He's crazy. That is crazy what he's doing. Absolutely, genuinely crazy. Nope. But yeah, that's kind of yeah. What can I say? Like all those blankets. This could be a blanket too, I guess, if I would not end up sewing it together like a tiny blanket. Some of the yarn I gave my daughter other days from my mom, and it's also wool from the 1970s. Somehow it's not dry rotted at all. I think yarn is just generally a very long, durable material often. Of course, all depends on what we do with. If we cut it into small pieces, it's not going to last long, right? Um, I am still all of the ends I'm weaving in. I'm still like leaving in a tiny bag. I'll have to make another what was it called? Another amigurumi at some stage, so I can use up my yarn scraps to fill. Because it feels a waste to just throw them out in the garbage. If I could make amigurumi with them, at least that's my thinking. This weekend, I am actually finally not having any big plans. I do have a few things I need to do, but like I actually just have time to be me. Um, and uh, and hopefully, if everything goes right, I have enough time to ensure that my new laptop has been set up correctly, and that I then can go ahead and have my next live stream from that one. That would be actually really nice. So there's a few things I still need to get sorted, but hopefully we are very ready soon to move most of the things over. That would be so neat. So neat. But yeah, for now, we are just working on this. And I think I'm also maybe, I haven't 100% decided if I'll start on it this weekend or next week. But that hat collector shawl is looking at me being ready because we made the final decision. And we are going to use that coral for the center. And then we'll crank on those cakes. And I think I just need to look because I have 3 cakes from the twister that I need to use. And only 2 of them are the same dye lot. So I need to check how much color differentiation there is between them. Like, are they more or less the same? Will you be able to see the difference between the cakes or not? And then if they are all quote unquote the same cakes, I am just gonna basically to um, start with one and then work until it color changes, cut the yarn, at the next cake, work until the color changes, cut the yarn, at the next cake, and then work through 2 colors because then I don't need to cut the yarn in between. Huh? Clever. And then cut the yarn and then take the outer side of the next, etc. So then by doing it like this, I don't need to re-cake them and cut them all up before I start. Ta-ta! Unless I want to do full color control, that means that I will change color every time I am at the end of a row if we cannot make another complete full row. But that is just a crap ton of work if I choose to do that. So I'm actually on the I'd rather not. Safe travels, Lisa. Absolutely wonderful to have you hang around with us, even though it was just for half an hour. Take care. And, well, actually, more like 20 minutes, but still, take care. Safe travels and enjoy Barcelona, enjoy Spain and Gibraltar if I don't see you. And yeah, I'll see you when you're back home. Rev is sharing his current VIP, and I will be absolutely most happy to share. I want to go to Spain. It's much warmer than here. Here is like, I don't know, 8 degrees Celsius. Ooh, I like this. Uh, uh, um, so we are going to share. And we're going to allow screen sharing. Here we are. The Karen this error. Also ended up being the trans pride flag theme. So I hope whatever child eventually gets this will be able to be true to themselves. Oh, that's nice. I think this is a nice coloring. Genuinely. I'm trying to figure out what's exactly. Are you doing back loops here in between? Or what is it that I'm seeing? Where the on each row when you work into the row before? Or are you making a chain for them to sit on top and then work around that chain? That could also be. Crochet chain. Okay, cool. This is gorgeous yarn though. I like the colors. So like sweet and soft. Gotcha. I haven't seen this one, but I actually really like how this turned and works up. That's really nice. Not just the yarn, but also I think still this pattern comes nice to show in it. Not familiar with the modern granny stitch. I will definitely have to to look into that at some stage, especially if I'd like to make blankets again one day. Not waiting on blankets, but you'll never know. Right now we are just cranking on with these, huh? As I said, there's still a fair bit to go. I am though gonna get, I think probably when we get to like 15-ish or so inches, I am going to stretch the yarn a little bit just to see how it goes, because it is gonna change a bit. Um, not all of the yarns has set well yet in their stitches, so it is possible to just to give it a little pull just to make sure that the stitches are sitting nicely, right? Before I decide, because I also don't want to have it too big, but neither do I want to have it too small. Um, so I am gonna do that before sewing that together. This yarn somehow feels thinner. What's up with this? I think it's missing a thread. Look. Something is up with this yarn. Yeah. Something is up. It's not working up as anticipated here. There's definitely something up with this yarn. Just give me a moment. Funny I didn't notice that before. There is this point. It just goes thin. Look here. Let's compare it to a bit later on. It's the same yarn, just a meter later. You see the difference? Look. Not sure what's up here, but I think I am going to cut some yarn and remove whatever here happens. I'm not really sure what that is, but that seems wrong. Is this similar thickness? This is similar thickness. So something is happening here. Just around here. Look, it goes from thicker to thinner. Not really sure what happened, because it's not completely clear, but you can see it visually. There's a difference in this yarn. Yeah, I guess we're gonna cut and refix, because I am not sure what this is, but it's definitely, I guess it's the risk when working with value acrylic yarn sometimes that something's funky is happening. But this is about the length of funny thickness. That, my friends, is going to go into my little pile. So this is for like if I'm going to have to tie up flowers or temporary something else, that could be just fine for that. Or if I'm gonna sew together, that was probably also gonna be fine. This is probably like a meter or so. Definitely not gonna use that for crocheting because that felt really weird. So anyhow, that's under control. We can get to redo this one. That was really odd. That was really, really, really odd. I have to say that. Mhm. But we did indeed cut it because I don't know what happened to the yarn. And I'm also not going to think too much about it. That's not going to help me. Um, Means that we do have another end to weave in, but that's just me getting to deal with that. We're back to this feeling much more normal to work with. That was definitely interesting. This is also why you need to pay a little bit attention to when you're crocheting, because apparently suddenly yarns can change. But on granny, you alternate granny clusters with rounds of single crochets between the clusters chain two. Then you work the granny clusters into the chain two spaces so the clusters stack. Great. I like the look of it. Meanwhile, Nightbud is telling us all the interesting things, such as don't forget to like and subscribe. If you're watching and you're not currently a subscriber, then do subscribe. Then you can chat with us and ask all the questions you would like to ask me. I am generally answering any and everything. May the odds ever be in your favor. Thank you so much. The weather in New Jersey right now, the conditions are sunny with a temperature of 24 degrees Fahrenheit. That's negative 4 degrees Celsius. That is chilly. The wind is blowing from west northwest at 8 miles per hour, which is about 30 kilometers per hour, and the current humidity is 63. And oh my goodness, Susan, you got the gift membership for Riverland. That's so awesome. Welcome, Susan, to the members. How can one be so lucky? Don't play the lotto today or the lottery today because winning twice on one day is less likely. So wait by purchasing your lottery ticket by tomorrow if you're playing something like that along those lines. But oh my goodness. We are going to celebrate, of course. So let's see if we can find this one. And we'll pop over here and we'll have a little party, a little celebration. Da-dum, dum, da-dum, da-dum, dum, da-dum. Party, party. Thank you so much, Revenant. Thank you so much. I don't understand that either, Rev. I don't. YouTube, I guess, just likes the randomness of things. But it would be cool if you could also give people directly things. I agree. Lucky Friday the 13th. Yeah. I just realized first now it's actually Friday the 13th. Crazy, huh? It's been all day, but I've not thought about it. Guess what that means? It's going to be March the 13th as well on Friday. That's 2 months in a row with a Friday the 13th. That doesn't happen very often. Thank God to the February 29th, that happens to occur once every 4 years. Though that is usually in 2024, 2028, 32, etc. Friday the 29th happens to be in the years where there is also the Olympic Games, Summer Games, that is. Um, but that is so awesome. Thank you so much. Nothing really has changed. Now you just find that your chair is constantly heated, except for the summer, and you'll still have free access to the drinks at the bar. We try our best to keep it constantly restocked with both coffee and tea, and then, of course, the occasional water or soft drinks, whichever you may prefer. Fresh juice is also an option. Da, 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 da. But yeah, so I have plenty of things to get through yarn wise. I really had a look um, at my stash, and I'm not. We're. It's gonna be a while before we get through that and get that all on Ravelry. It's gonna be like a full-time job, except I already have a job. Um, but I am actually gonna be really happy once I get everything stacked up, because what I also noticed, and that's gonna be really helpful for some of my cottons, right? Um, like, or even for my twisters, because like the twister solids I have, there's a whole overview in the right side where you can actually see what yarns you have stashed. That is so awesome. So I'm like, why didn't I start doing this sooner? Literally. I guess I was just too chill about it. I'm like, that's fine. I'll remember what I have. No, I do not. Let's be very realistic. Susan, go to the left side of the bar and tap 4 times to get access to the secret liquor cabinet. Limit to stream, 2 per stream. Yeah, not too much. That's not gonna be good for you. Let me show you guys what I meant about the Ravelry part. Let's see, that should be this, and we should be on Ravelry now. So this is the Hobby Friends wheel. I happen to have 7 of these games, but here you can see all the colors I have next to this. So I have this, which is the green one, 105 green, and then um, and the price I listed as paid is just the normal regular price they have for all of the skeins in total. And then here you have, like, I see I can have 2 of white, I have 2 in cream, I have 2 in taupe, 1 in nougat, 1 in bordeaux, 1 in blackberry, 2 in arctic blue, 1 in French blue, 1 in deep ocean, 2 in lagoon, and 2 in artichoke. And that's just for the Hobby Friends wheel. So if I like pop back and we'll do twister solids, it's exactly the same. Here, I have the full overview of all of my twisted solids. This is going to be so nice for when I'm going to make not blankets, for when I'm going to make shawls and I want to fully color control them based on the yarn type. You know, I can see already here, like the bright green, apple green, wasabi, and then the cream. Just by looking at those small pictures here to the right, they could be really nice combination for an upcoming show. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is so awesome. Why didn't I do this earlier? Literally. So this is something I really enjoy on Ravelry. Anyhow, I'm so happy I started on it. But I don't think I'll be done until like at the earliest this summer. So, oh my goodness, you've been here for like what, 6 months? Wow, at least you've been around for the membership part for 6 months. I don't know if you joined anytime sooner than that, though. But yeah, 6 months. It's been a while. 6 months. That's crazy. That is crazy. That is crazy. We should celebrate once more, shouldn't we? We should actually. Let's go celebrate once more. Thank you so very much. It's been absolutely a wonderful time having you around here. It always happy days when Ref checks in for everybody across the board. We really enjoy your company and I hope you enjoy ours. Ta ta. Thank you. I joined up the first time I hung out. Really? Wow. I've made quite an impression. Thank you. I didn't realize I made such an impression. That's cool. I was sticking the vibe. Well, we are chill. We're a small group of people. We like hanging out. Um, and I guess there isn't a lot of people doing lives at this time of the day. A lot of people are actually sleeping. I guess if it's in the US. Um, and well, I do sometimes do evening lives, so that would be your afternoon. It just doesn't happen too often because that kind of depends on other things. Generally, I'll be home alone or something along those lines if I would do that. And I agree with Susan. It's absolutely awesome that you've been hanging around. My goodness, it's already been 6 months. Gosh, how time flies. Can't believe that sometimes. It really goes quickly. But on the other hand, when I talk and then I realize together with my partner. Like, I've been living in this house for 17 years. Like, think that for a minute. 17 years. It feels like forever. Also, not waiting on moving out anytime soon. Nope. So, what is everyone doing for dinner this evening? Okay, so let's see if I can explain this because this is a bit of a Danish tradition. But it is it's a cabbage or a kale, and I'm stewing it. So I already have it. I kind of had it in the freezer because I didn't use the whole last time. It was like a very big kale, so I froze in the rest. Um, so what we're gonna be doing is I'll boil it so it's like um mushy, but not like splashy, but like there's still a little bit of bite to it, but it gets boiled for like 5 to 10 minutes. And then I'll take the kale out. I keep the water, and then I'll make in the same pan. I'll make a sort of bechamel sauce. Basically, it's butter, and then it's flour, and then milk. But sometimes also not just a lot of milk, just some milk. I can also option for nut milk, and do pure kale water that I boiled it in to get the taste in. And I'll give it a little bit of Nordmuscat. No idea what that's. Nutmeg in English. Give it a little bit of nutmeg to spice it up with, of course, salt and pepper. Um, so it's a sauce, and then I'll re-add that kale into it. Um, Absolutely yummy. So it's kind of a stew. It's kind of like a kale stew. And then on the side, I'll fry some sausages that will go with it on the side. And on top of this kale stew, we'll do uh, sugar and cinnamon. as extra spice. Sounds crazy, I know, but it's really tasty, and that's it. That's it. So it's a very simple but reasonably healthy dinner. I think the most unhealthy is probably this sausage because it's not the most lean, but it's nice. Let's see if I can find it in. I'm going to find the kale at least, and I will share that with you so you have an idea what this is. Let's say share. This is the type of kale. I'm not sure what this is. It's also known as sweetheart or sugarloaf kale. Does that say you guys anything? Sweetheart or sugarloaf? Anyhow, this is what I'm gonna be like stewing up in the sauce and then eat a sausage next to it. Yummy, yummy. So I'm not really sure what you would call it, but this is just like one of many words. Yeah, it is a cabbage, definitely. Let's see, can we like, don't we have like, this is a Danish word for it. Translate English. Trying to get the English name for this one. Pointed cabbage, according to the AI, maybe, or spring cabbage. Does that sound familiar to you guys? It's definitely not scallion. Not sure what that came from. Pointed cabbage or spring cabbage seems to be the best translation. It's a nice cabbage. It's a bit sweeter in the taste. It's not bitter. What sometimes I find cabbage can turn a bit bitter. But this one is a nice cabbage. So it's basically sort of a cabbage stew that we're making with a sausage on the side. You won't eat the stem here because that's pretty hard. Half the eatable plants are brassicaceae. Whoop! I can't pronounce this, but that sounds very, very Latin. It's a sort of flower family. This probably too. Though if I tell my partner that this cabbage is in the same family as mustard, he'll never eat cabbage anymore. um, Brussels sprouts is definitely something that's not uh, faring well here in the home either. But it's a type of cabbage. It's a kind of a running joke that everything is a part of that family. Yeah, okay, gotcha. But it's nice and tasty. I can definitely warmly recommend. Should probably even be possible to get seeds for it. Do you have like a garden, vegetable garden? Let's see if it allows me. Doesn't really think I have too much open. It's known as a brassica ola careca. Yeah, so it is indeed sort of a pointy cabbage. Let's see what I can get. I've tried a few times, but the local squirrels do not allow them. Oh, would they eat them? I had some basil growing in a pot. The damn things pulled them up by the roots in front of me. Damn. I'm just having a look here. So basically, can we force this to translate from Dutch into English? We can, I think. It's a it's a German cabbage with a beautiful cone shape and sturdy fine leaf structure. Thanks to its mild, slightly sweet taste, this pointed cabbage is particularly versatile in the kitchen. The plant grows well in the Dutch climate and is popular with both hobby gardeners and experienced vegetable gardeners. They call them a Filterkraut in German, apparently. The pointed cabbage is known for its excellent quality and ease of use for multiple advantages. It's also really nice, by the way, in a coleslaw. This cabbage here, my issues here in the Netherlands is the slugs. Like the snails will eat anything I put out, so I'll need to sort of de-snail it all before even considering. Fine crispy texture with a soft taste, great for salads, stir-fried dishes, fermentation to sauerkraut. Good shelf life after harvest, reliable yield with proper care. The Spitzkohl is, or Filterkraut, with this cabbage, can be sown from February to July. It's a medium to large pointed cabbage with compact heads. The plant likes sunny locations and nutritious, well-drained soil. Depending on the sowing time, the harvest is possible from summer to autumn. There you go. Pre-sown row is done in seed trays, pots, blah 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 blah. Like, if I actually had a field with room for them, I would most definitely give it a go. Can get a bunch of seeds for €3 at the local store, but it would require, obviously, some work. And I'm just not home enough to take care enough of my garden, which sounds crazy because I am home, but I also travel too much, and then yeah, I'm genuinely concerned for that being eaten by slugs and snails. It wasn't that bad last year, but the year before, like, I had just planted out some flowers, and it took the snails about 36 hours to have eaten them all. So yeah, I was not happy. I do need to look into planting out um, um, some flowers that is friendly to the bees. Um, so I'm likely looking to put some lavender and stuff like that in my front garden because that is really good for bees. Susan says, me too rough, gave up on vegetable gardening when the critters and bugs ate the fruits before I could. Yeah, I don't blame you guys for that. It does require sort of a skill to keep those clean of pests, if we will say it like that. Um, a period of time where the birds did not touch my strawberries at all, and now suddenly they know where the strawberries are, and I don't have strawberries. And that is not the snails. But the other ones were the snails. Like, I knew that. Okay, somebody's calling me again. I'm gonna give this one a go. Give me a moment. I am back with you guys. No, I temp muted myself because I was talking on the phone and I was talking in Dutch, and I'm not really sure if my private conversation was very interesting for you guys. Um, it's basically I'm missing the I'm missing my I'll be right back kind of background uh, audio. So I decided to just shortly take this conversation. It was my specialists for my. I do have a sort of. Oh my goodness, what is this called? I have an autoimmune disease. Um, and um, that is obviously not very pleasant. And they were calling from the hospital regarding if to check if I might be um, a possibility to do some research on, because they were doing research on people that was going to change medication and so on. Though I'm not expecting I'll be changing medication, because right now I feel really comfortable with the current medication I have. So they were basically just asking me in advance if I were to change medication, if they were allowed to do some research. But yeah, so what I have is something called spondylitis ankylopathica, which is basically a sort of rheumatoid arthritis in my back. And I'll see the doctors reasonably regularly on that account. Um, and yeah, like 2 or 3 times a year, I'll see them and we'll check my meds and see how things are and get an update and stuff like that. And I will have to see them next week, Thursday. Then it is time for the first check in 2026. And since the conversation was on the phone and all in Dutch, I decided that that was probably better that I did that muted. But that was the short essence of things. Susan has a blueberry bush that I can get that she can get some fruits from, but the birds love the fruit too. Yeah, that's a challenge, right? So, or you will need to, when they get closer to being ripe, you'll need a net to cast over the bush if it's not too big of a bush. I love blueberries, but I don't have the soil for it. I genuinely wish I had more room outside. Then I think I would um, have more garden stuff. Like, but it's not like I can afford moving because we talked about last, I think it was Wednesday, how expensive it is here in the Netherlands. So, and um, I'm utterly shocked because so here in February we are going to get a letter from the municipality stating the estimated value of our home, and based on that we get to pay municipality tax. That is how it works here in the Netherlands. And that is based on the value of your house, basically, or property. And I saw on this street there is a house similar to ours, but a little bit smaller. But further than that, location-wise, more or less the same. But there's a maybe like 10 square meter, not less than 10 square, maybe 6 square meters difference. How much is square meters? 2 feet. Give me one moment. So it's like 60 square feet smaller than this one. And the price it was going for right now shocked me. So the other house in the street, which is smaller than this house, but the inside, if we look away from our entrance, but like the kitchen part and anything on top of like so kitchen and living room space, um, and then upstairs and attic, they are identical. Um, they asked starting price, and it's probably going to sell for even more, which scares the fuck out of me, of 499,000 euros. That's 500,000. And this house is bigger and it has a little bit more garden as well as the other house. So therefore, this house is necessarily going to be worth more. That's going to be an expensive bill that's going to come within the next 2 weeks. Not that we can do much about it. It's just how it's going to be. But I'm surprised. It means that this house has probably doubled in value since I moved in 17 years ago. Yeah, costs always increase. We need to invest in real estate. That is the best place to invest, I guess, except for the fact if you do rent out real estate, you do need to get all the costs covered and stuff like that, and that's a mess to dizzle around. So you definitely want to do such thing in a closed company with limited liabilities to yourself, but still. Henceforth, I choose to put some of my money instead in REITs or the likes because that is company who has properties or to some extent properties to help my yield, because then I don't need to worry about the management of these homes. Um, but yeah, we'd be rich if we sold the house, but then we don't have any place to live. And then we were actually joking about this last night when we were at my in-laws, and my partner were like, "Yeah, so we'll sell the house and we'll be rich, and then we can move in with my mom." And it's funny to say that my mom-in-law, she moved from a reasonably big home where I could easily have imagined us living in for at least a couple of months without a big issue, to a very small apartment that's maybe like, she has like a senior apartment and it's probably 500 square feet or something like that, maybe 550 square feet big. So it's like half the size of a home. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not so sure we would want that though. And she was like just utterly shocked with the thought of us having to live in the same apartment as her right now, because it's not that big compared to what she's used to either. So we were laughing and we're like, yeah, I don't think that's gonna work out for more than 2 days. She's a lovely person though, but I'm really not sure if I would like to live in the same apartment as her when it's not bigger than that. Um, yeah, that was something, not something I was looking for doing. But she was a little bit like, "Oh my goodness, are they serious? Oh my goodness." Ah, okay, so we have some ends to weave in. The downside is they came out on the front side. I didn't think about that when I did it, but it's cool. We'll pull it on the back side and get them weaved in on the back side. We should be fine. So that's basically what we'll be doing. Weaving in those ends on the back side. And as you know, I weave in mine extremely well, so that means this won't come undone. Susan asked if I'll be ready for a test fit today. Not sure. Maybe. It's gonna be close though. Um, I can give it a measure when I've finished weaving in these ends. I know how far we need to go, but I'm not convinced. Um, it could be, but we'll get there. So that was one. The other end, I think we should weave in the other direction. That would make sense. So yeah, I'm afraid I'll be short maybe an inch to do the real test. Um, but we'll definitely give it a look. As I said, I did measure, um, and I was short by a few inches still. So it all depends on how quickly, I guess, I can crochet. Um, so that was, and I have the other ends too, but I will first be able to weave those in once I've done the next row, because I need to make sure I didn't make mistakes. Um, And that I can only do by checking it all. Anyhow, as I said, I need a good 17 inches. I'll just do a little bit of stretching in this on both ends, just to make sure that the stitches are sitting nicely. Oh, that's not what I was doing. So, ta-ta! Da, 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 da. I'm at I'm 4 inches short. Still, feels like big though, doesn't it? And maybe I can do it with less, because we are definitely fitting nicely on my underarm now. Not that my underarm is relevant at all, because it's not going to fit my underarm, because it's only going to be on my upper arm. But my upper arm is bigger than my underarm. So we're definitely still. So I said 4 inches short. And I think we definitely also need those 4 inches. But if I'll reach to get there today, maybe. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. And then I'll need to sew it together. But I'm thinking maybe this weekend I have enough time to do that. That would be nice. And then I just need to like do the stuff around, right? Like the front edges and so on, which I need to read about, because I don't know. Right now I'm just, doing a rectangle in a big enough size. So this is it. Here we are. And here we go. Mm-mm-mm. I have regulars. Regulars. Not to forget. But that could be the other phone that called me earlier today, maybe. That was also the hospital. I don't know. It was a secret number, this one, so not always picking up those. But because I had the other one I didn't catch earlier, I'm like, yeah, maybe we should check. Duh, duh. I saw that there is a new Minions movie coming out this summer. And I have to say, we do actually enjoy watching Minions, because, oh my goodness, it's so fun. That is just past children. That is definitely past the children's aspect of things. Oh my goodness. My tea mug was stuck to my undersetter. Don't forget to drink. Minions are funny. Yes, I agree. So they are launching a new Minions movie this summer. And yeah, I looked at my partner saying, "Oh, maybe we should go to the movies." And he's like, "Yeah, we can download it somewhere." I'm like, "Yeah, we can go to the movies just to go to the movies for once." I don't even remember last time we were at the movies before COVID. I think um, we tend to go for like new James Bond movies or Mission Impossible and stuff like that because some movies are just doing it nicer on the big screen. But this one, I think, is also something I wouldn't mind watching. He's also a big fan of Ice Age, which is also great movies for sure. Robert says, "I've been trying to let people enjoy things without being negative as long as it's harming no one. So no comment." Yeah, okay. Um, I'm trying to. Oh, I get the touch. I don't know. I feel something is. Mm, I only get part of the chat show. We'll have to change that around. Generally, just let people have fun and enjoy. Um, we all should enjoy life to whichever needs we desire. Also, wish for everybody just to have enough to be able to enjoy so. Susan doesn't watch many movies, but you watch series then. I have definitely been busy watching series lately, but also, of course, we have the regular broadcasts of or YouTube streamers that's worth watching as a well, not to forget. And yeah, no TV. I watch YouTube. Yeah, okay. We do have a TV. I don't watch a lot of TV on the TV, with the exception of occasionally we do watch a movie together, and stuff. So stuff that both me and my partner watch together, we will crawl behind the TV to watch. Um, but if I'm home alone, I don't turn the TV on very often, to be completely honest. That's very rarely that I do that. Um, extremely rarely, actually. So there's a fun fact for you. Susan prefers music to TV. That's a good point. I realize right now that I don't have any music turned on, so I should maybe option to actually find some music. What are we wanting to listen today? Maybe some classic. That's been a while. Uh, uh, uh. How can I not have turned on the music before starting the stream? I think it was because I was a little bit in a rush, to be completely honest. Um, I had a few things to get sorted. So, do, do, do. What are we doing? I am going to go with a bit of Vivaldi with the Four Seasons. That's a nice classic piece, I think. So I'm going with that. If I have Sirius XM there, that's a good question. Or what I may have it via my Sonos device because I still have a Sonos system after I don't know how long. Sirius XM. Let's see what pops up. Nothing. Live from Sirius XM. Yeah, they do have something. Um, but yeah, I don't have an Alexa. I just have a Sonos, which I'm fine with. I don't always have it on either. But I can't play music while we are sitting here because copyrights. Copyrights. I don't want to get issues. So I can listen, but I can't play for you to listen with me, which would have been nice though. But that is not an option. Is Sonos connected to a large company like Alexa? I could connect it with Amazon Alexa or Google Assistant. There is a function in it that allows me to do that. Um, but I don't want it because I don't want Google to listen more to what I'm doing already than I already have Google doing, or Alexa for that matter. And then I guess I get a little bit paranoia. So I can tell Sonos to play music by voice command and so on, but that is via the Sonos voice control, and that is not handled in the cloud. That is handled on the device itself. Um, so it offers a bit more life privacy. But also, I didn't buy the Sonos. I got the Sonos when I was working for Sonos, and the device was considered so old when I stopped working at Sonos that I got it for free. I did though buy one Sonos device that's a small Sonos Roam, which is like a small transportable, which roams basically, um, device which I can bring with me to the range or other places where it's nice to have a bit of music. Where does Sonos get the music from? You will have to connect it to a music supplier, such as in my case, I would have my Spotify on it. You could also run with other music services depending on what options you have. Lots of phone companies these days also have their own streaming services, music streaming services, but they're also free streaming services. For example, I can have the Danish radio on mine because um, I'm quote unquote Danish. So I have access to the Danish national broadcast station here in the Netherlands, which is really nice because let's say my parents is on visit, they can actually still get to hear the news on the radio in the morning if they want to get the local news from home. So that's kind of nice. There you also have something called TuneIn. TuneIn is also a broadcast system which basically gives you the opportunity to search across music stations from the whole globe. So via either Sonos radios or TuneIn, you can find like 80,000 different radio stations worldwide. But I can see when I opened my app that it's definitely not improved much since I left in the sense of it's still laggy and slow. But so Sonos is nice in many aspects, but it also has a few disadvantages. Yeah, satellite radio broadcasting is awesome. Exactly. So that is basically so any radio station you can get from the internet, so to say, if you can open a browser and stream on it on your device, Sonos can access that as well via the search function it has. Um, but I will have to admit that I'm not using my Sonos as much as I could. Um, I'm more likely to use my headset listening to something when I'm on the go with my phone. Um, because mostly when the challenge is if I get too much music sometimes, it depends on the music, but if it's sometimes too much when I'm working, I get distracted and I start doing other stuff, right? Especially if it's something I can sing along to. And I most definitely should not sing. Brace your ears if I were to sing. Um, yeah. Anyhow, what I do know is that I should, before the end of this cake, be at a place where we can start looking at a fit. I I was also really happy that my partner had his morning alarm set because apparently I forgot to set my own. So I was a little bit in a rush this morning to get to shower, but it was a good sleep. I slept in half an hour longer than I normally would. Susan says, I find it fascinating to listen to rural out of state radios for their commercials. It's very folksy compared to the New York area. Gotcha. Yeah, yeah. That can definitely be different. Um, a bit funny is some of the Sonos you can also like ask Sonos what you're listening to, and it will reply to what station you're listening to. And the Danish broadcast radio, um, which is it's the Danish radio is called Danmarks Radio, DR for short. And it would be program number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, depending on they have up to 8. That all depends on what type of music you're listening to. Um, and if I would then ask my Sonos, so like, hey Sonos, what I'm listening to, Sonos would be like, you are listening to Dr. P1 or something like that. That would be because it sees the DR as a doctor rather than Danish radio, which is a bit funny. Um, First time it did that, I was genuinely laughing. um, so yeah, I could definitely listen to that if I want to. That's always an option. And I can't do that obviously in the radio on the car or something like that because that's so much different. But I have free full access to it via my Sonos, which is nice. So when I'm at home, I can just turn it on. English, English, but it could speak in French as well. And I'm not sure what other languages they have up running with it yet. Um, but I can do English or French. I think probably Spanish would be the next they would implement, if not already implemented. Um, I'd have to Google that if they actually added that. But honestly, I think they've been so busy fixing that app when they broke it a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago. I'm not sure if they would have time to work on that. I'm going to check what languages only available in English and French. Common voice requests can now make with Sonos voice shows like, "Hey, play a bit quieter," or you can set them to volume down or volume up, etc. But you can also ask what is currently playing, and it will tell you so. Um, so that's pretty cool actually, but it's only in French and English. And this the benefit of the Sonos is obviously, as I say, and as I mentioned earlier, it's processed all locally on the speaker and not in the cloud. So if you use Alexa, what happens is basically you asking Alexa to do something, it will send your command to the cloud and it will handle that command in the cloud and send the feedback back to your speaker. Yeah, I don't know. Alexa also does in multiple languages, I know. The same does Google Assistant. It's also available in multiple languages. Let's see. I should be able to weave in those other ends, so maybe I should do that before continuing, because else I'm going to be sadly surprised when I realized I haven't weaved in all my ends. We are going to change and work on the other direction soon. So these are on the nice side of things. That was my stitch markers. That was not my stitch darning needle. um. So yeah, I have to admit that I'm not really using my Sonos as much as I should be. But the good thing is I never paid for it. Well, that's not true. I did pay for my second Sonos device, um, because I did pay for the small room, but I got it 50% off. That was one of the things that I got myself when I left the company, because I thought it was handy to have a portable speaker of some kind. Henceforth, I got the Sonos Roam. But I'm quite sure Alexa knows English, German, French, Spanish as a bare minimum. Which other additional languages, I don't know. That you will have to ask Alexa. And then we can ask, why does Stina know this? That Stina knows because she was supposed to do, like when we did custom support for Sonos, if people had issues with their Alexa and the setup, we should technically help figure them out if it was related to the device, or if this was a bug, or if it was an Alexa send. If it's Alexa send, we would have to ask people to contact Amazon. Um, but yeah. Oy. Rev says, I've never seen the appeal of having a corporate spy always listening to you. I've never set up an Alexis or a Cortina or any of things. Yeah, so that's my point. I do only have the Sonos voice control, and that's because it's not processing in the cloud. So it's 100% happening on the device. Um, technically, it's only listening if you submit the diagnostics to the company, or if they pull one, but they're not allowed to pull one unless they have your permission. to do so. I don't have the feeling that I need to talk to support and therefore send them a diagnostic, so I should be okay. And it's still pretty limited as to the commands it can process. So what I really liked and I used Sonos for in the past, especially when I was still working with Sonos, I used the timer function because my breaks were not always on the same time. So I basically asked Sonos to set a timer of 15 minutes or 14 minutes because then I knew that my break was up. If I had a 15-minute break, I could get back in time and clock in time. Um, that was my main purpose. Like, I would be like, hey, Sonos, set a timer in. Oh no, it's listening. I should not say anything. Now you hear it, by the way. Hey, Sonos, stop. Stop the timer, please. Okay, it was listening to me. There you go. A nice proof of how Sonos voice control works. Um, it will talk to me and say that it did do whatever I asked it to do. And apparently I set a timer for 1 second. So the timer went off basically just after it had set the timer, which is logic because a second is not very long. That was a bit fun. Ta-ta, ends woven in. Nice. No ends to be woven in except for the starting one, but that's not too bad because that I can use to sew in with. Given the current ring scandal, I would not trust them to be following any privacy laws. That's true. That's true. But yeah, um, I very rarely use it, and I know based on what I have been able to see in the past, from having access to the files myself, you can't. It's really limited what the Sonos Way control can pull out of information regarding you. I think the only thing they have on me is basically my email address because I used their own phone number and own address in California. Like, you're not gonna get my shit. You don't need my stuff. No, no, no. Because you have to register an account to be able to even set up your Sonos. That's how it works. Um, we are on the back side of things. I was just double checking that I was indeed doing it correct, and I am. But yeah, so I guess I'm a bit skeptical in that account as to the information they get on me. I think everywhere they're getting enough information as is, most definitely. Mm. Indeed. Indeed. It's almost 4 p.m. here. But the thing is, it's almost a weekend too. That is nice. Da, da, da. Meanwhile, we are making progress on this cake because it's almost not covering the spin part. But we're not gonna finish this one today. Not happening. But we are making good progress on the yarn. So yeah, next week we're gonna have a new sort my stash and get it stuck in Ravelry edition. So that's part 3 coming on Monday. On Wednesday, I'm expecting to be live, as well as again on Friday next week. That is the goal. And then the following week, I'll be live Monday and Wednesday. And then Friday, I'll be having a yarn talk video at the very last day of this month. One of the reasons here for is that is the date when I'm going to get my cousin on visit. And I'm really looking forward to hang out with her. And somewhere between now and then, I definitely also need to ensure that my guest room has been sorted. I may need to option to do that on either this weekend or next weekend. So it is a little bit less of a mess in there. Um, right now, it's more like a storage room for yarn and other things. So I definitely need to get that under control as well. And I should not forget to hydrate. As I said, I learned about myself that I'm apparently quite poor at hydrating. And I can definitely imagine that during a live because I definitely end up talking more than I'm drinking. Let's see. I think I should have a moist measure thingy. Body water. It's classified as 38.3%, which is at the very lower end of things. Ideally, it should be like 45. So I'm like 7% not hydrated enough. It's valid to say I do measure in the morning where you haven't been drinking the whole night. So maybe that could be it. That could also be something to keep in mind. But crazy. It's Friday already. The week has just flown by. This week has really gone by. How do you guys feel about it? Has this week passed fast or is it just another week in your life? It feels for me it's gone fast by. Maybe it's because I've been in good company some of the time, right? Been hanging out with you guys 3 times this week. One could definitely argue that that's good company. But then I also realized, looking at my calendar for March, that I'm not going to be as much live during March. Um, because in March, my friends, I have like this business trip outing, and I'm going to my parents for a week, and oh my goodness, my best guess and gamble is to hope that I basically have enough content from other sources for you guys to watch when I'm away. Um, Megan loves the lives. It makes the workday go faster. Oh, I'm most pleased to hear that. As I said, we are hanging out today. We are doing our very best on that account. Most definitely. And as I said, I do believe that. Not sure if I'll get it started this weekend. It kind of depends. But else next week, I think we will be looking at starting on that hat collector shawl. But it's going to be, I'm not going to be finishing that very quickly because, as I said, March, I will have some travels and I have other obligations in March as well. So that is possibly not going to be as much around as first anticipated. February is indeed a short month. That's true. We are more than halfway through February already, or well, tomorrow we're halfway through exactly. Susan says I should go live while I'm away. I can consider it, though that will feel really weird. I'll be at my parents' place. Take us on a short walk in Amsterdam. Yeah. Um, Amsterdam is mainly gonna be if everything sorts out, but I really need to check because it's gonna be like a crazy weekend. So let's say I do Amsterdam with the company, which I really should for the uh, team building kind of thing, and connections. Um, the thing is that we, um, yeah, how can I best say this? um, I'll be away Sunday for an event in Germany, and we're probably going to go already Saturday afternoon because if we might end up taking a hotel. I don't know the scheduling yet, but it's probably gonna be practical with a hotel. And it's been discussed earlier. As we get older, we allow ourselves more comfort, and we definitely earn and deserve more comfort in life. Um, the same can definitely be said for this. Why would I need to get up early if I don't really have to get up early if I can like take a hotel for a decent price? Um, so that would be Sunday. Then we'll back home Sunday. Then Monday I would be working. Monday evening, I'd then go to Amsterdam to sleep to be at this work meeting Tuesday morning or around lunch. It's more likely. It's like at 11 a.m. But I could then probably stay at the hotel and work until 11 a.m. or work for 2 hours in the morning and then go to that meeting and then go home. That would be actually really nice. But then when I'm home Tuesday, I'll have to ensure everything's packed for Denmark to where I will be going Wednesday morning. The flight is at 8 a.m. Wednesday morning. And then I'll be in Denmark until the week Wednesday after. So that's like 10 days plus that I won't be home or barely home. Um, I'm being suggested to take you guys on walks in Amsterdam or in Denmark. Could be options, though I'm not sure if all of the walks are equally exciting, to be honest. That's next challenge. So if I'll first get there, like, that's the thing. If I'm first gonna be there in the evening, in Amsterdam, it's not like I'm gonna see many stores. I'll have to do that on my way home, which again isn't ideal because I rather get home on time due to the fact that I need to pack for Denmark for 10 days, for a week. Yeah, that's probably what we have to be looking at, Revenant. I could maybe see if I could record some aspects and turn that into a video. Susan says, I love watching Kukovikika, the knitting designer, taking us around Finland. I'm not familiar with her. I will have to check that out. But ideally, I'd love to find a store or something like that we could visit. That would be really nice. Isn't she the one that, yeah, she designed her own wedding dress? I think I've seen this. Yeah, I've seen this. Definitely. Um, Not sure if I would go that far and design my own wedding dress. Kutova. Kutova is knitting in Finnish. I just learned something. Wow. Yeah, I know her. When I see this one, I'm like, yeah, sure, I know this one. I'm familiar with her. But I wonder why I'm not subscribed, so now I am. Did she break 100,000? Was I the last one? No. That would have been cool though. Hello, Just Lucy. I am making a shrug, and hello a lot of times. I am at a bit more than 1,000. I'm 1,620 some odd. When you pass 1,000, it will only go up by smaller numbers. Like in my case, it go up by 10 every time. So when I hit 1,630, it will change to 1,630. Thank you, thank you. But yeah, that video I've actually seen, but that's a couple of years ago. I don't know why I didn't even subscribe back then. That's shame on me. So Lucy, I'm crocheting a shrug. Eventually, this should turn into a shrug. I have linked to the pattern I'm following in the description box down below. I am though using a different yarn. It is the WaffleChic Shrug to be more precise. And that is made in the waffle stitch pattern. So what's happening, and I'm almost here at the end, so let me get to the end and I'll kind of show you and explain, because that's just easier if I'm all the way to the end. But yeah, in short, it's a square there where you sew the arms together on both ends and you leave a gap where your shoulders will fit in. And I still have a few inches to go before I can start sew them together because I need to get my arms into it. And I have some chicken wings I need to be able to get in there, or granny flaps, or whatever we should call them. Um, Lucy's asking how we get stitches neat because her stitches is looking very loose and not good. Not sure how to get them neat. There are two things on this. One is called use the right hook for the yarn. The right hook size, that is, and that is different, and that depends on your tension, because that would be the tip number two. Ensure you always have the same tension on your yarn. And there are multiple ways to run tension. If I only held the yarn like this, like over my hand, my tension will turn a lot looser. I wrap them around my little finger to help control the tension. So my inside looks like this. So basically, I first take the yarn around my little finger, I wrap it underneath, and I go up and I go under my pointy finger, index finger, I think it's called. And that allows me to easier control the tension of the yarn. Fun facts, I do the same with knitting. It is very individual how people choose to do it. In the beginning, before I did this, I did twice around my index finger. That is also an option. But personally, I think this cuts quicker the blood on your finger. So that is not recommendable. It's not comfortable. So it is a combination of tension and using the right hook size for your yarn that gets your stitches nice. But some yarns just don't give a nice stitch definition. This yarn happens to give absolutely gorgeous stitch definition. The yarn I'm using right now, the camera doesn't show it, unfortunately. But that is at the camera and the light I have. Um, but I can tell you this stitch definition is absolutely freaking gorgeous. Let me do like this and I'll turn the work. You can better see the stitch definition now. And now you know why it's called the waffle stitch, because this looks like waffles. Practice helps as well. My snag plushie I made looks loose. Think you'll try to try and kind of a beginning. Okay, so Lucy, if you make a plushie, especially if the plush yarn, you can kind of like see through the gaps, because so here, if I do like this, you have some loose stitches in that you can like kind of look through some aspects. Not super good showing on, but it's limited. It's different because this is obviously a variable. But for plushies, especially with plush yarn, you need to downsize your crochet hook. Um, if you're, let's say, I don't know where you are from, what yarn you would have been using. And yeah, tension ring from Amazon is also an option. The UK, okay. Are you use what plushy yarns are you using? Are you use some of like La Lise Veluto, or are you on hobbies? Snuckle, oh, what's it called? Baby Snuckle or Honey Bunny yarns. That's also plush yarns. Um, but let's say the plush yarn requires or recommends you to use 7mm crochet hook. For plushies, you're likely needing to use somewhere between 4.5 and 5 to get the stitches tight, so it doesn't gap with the filling showing. I don't have any plushies here, but I have made plushies in the past. I do have. I have a huggable yarn chungi. Not familiar with that. I am going to see if I can find the plushies I made a long time ago. I also do have a short little video or some shorts on plushies. Actually, on my, if you go to my main page once we're done streaming, I have a few shorts showing plushies and plush yarn. Mm, mm, mm. What did you say here? Huggable yarn chunky does not say me anything, but that's probably because I'm not in the UK. Mm, 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 mm. Huggable super chunky, huggable all colors. James Brett. Huggable super chunky. So it's James Brett yarn. That seems nice and fluffy. I like this yarn. It looks nice. Is it the super chunky? I'm trying to get specs of it, but it's not really. Oh, further down. Here it says needle size 12. So then you're definitely needing to size down because that's the thing with the plush yarn. It's very fluffy. So that means that you need to like you can squeeze it very thin. So therefore you need to use a smaller hook. This yarn is it's just a basic acrylic. So this is you could make plushies of this, but I would definitely need to size down. This yarn recommends a 5 millimeter, and I'm using a 5 millimeter. Or actually, it recommends 5 to 6, and I'm using a 5. Would I make plushies of this? I could, but I would size down to maybe a 3 millimeters because you can see here that there are gaps through, but it's not a problem because it's for clothing. You're using a size 11 hook, yeah. I'd probably size down to maybe an 8. I'm not familiar with the yarn, but that would be my guess. If you have the opportunity, try to size down to like maybe an 8. Um, that could be an option. I'm just trying to see if I can find the plushies I made 2 years ago. Crazy how times fly. Christmas 2023. I made 2 unicorn plushies for my the daughters of my cousins. Here they are. I still have photos of them because I think they turned out absolutely gorgeous. I don't have them on my computer, but here they are on the. I made these 2. They are about as tall as my mug here. Um, so they're maybe a little bit taller. They're probably like 12 inches tall with the horns, which is a bit difficult to see on the screen. But there are small horns on top here, so including horn size. And they got different colors. So one is pink and one is light blue in the hairs, and that's intentionally done because that is the favorite colors. So I made those for them back then, 2 years ago. It's now 3, almost 2 years ago. That's crazy how time flies. So yeah, I'd recommend that actually. You will need a smaller hook. Then it's less roomy. So that's maybe what you're experiencing with your snake, that you're simply using a too big of a hook. I think that's the case. I'm not a big plushie maker. I've made some. I also have made plushies as well in. So I'm still about the same length as it was before, which I can't really believe. But I think that's because I haven't stretched this a bit, but we are still not anywhere close. So the fit today is going to be a dream because that's not happening, unfortunately. But if I work on it this weekend, we definitely have something else for next week. That could be. Um, the I have a puncher I'm wearing. That's store bought, and the same goes for my this one. It's also store bought. It's a Danish brand, which is a cardigan. But I do want. This is going to be a shrug, which I can be wearing. And that's obviously when I get there, self-made. I hope it fits. And if it doesn't, I guess I'll have to sell it. What are the kind of things you like to crochet? Multi-million dollar question. I crochet a bit of everything. I enjoy to crochet a bit of everything. I like to be challenged. Um, if we would ask Rev here in the chat, I can promise you he will say blankets, blankets, and blankets. He is turning out blankets like a crazy man. He is an awesome blanket crocheter for sure. I think Susan does a bit of everything. I do enjoy shawls or variables actually, just because it kind of makes you something. So shawls and variables, but I also don't go away from a plushie from time to time. But I haven't done a plushie for a year, I think, since my last plushie I crocheted in April last year. And that was to see if how that was like, if I had improved a couple of like over the past 3 years. And my end conclusion was that improvement was probably limited. And it was more likely the pattern that caused it to not look as amazing as I thought it would. So my next step would be to make the exact same plushie in a different yarn and see if it's still the same issue. And then if that's the case, well, we'll blame the pattern for being shite. Rose says, I mostly do blankets, but I have made some wearables as well. I made a couple of plushies, but I've never enjoyed the process. Just Lucy makes plushie and that's it. Yeah. I haven't made plushies for a while. As I said, I did last year, and I did that totally off screen because I first revealed it for the podiversary. There will be a podiversary this year again, of course, but I can also tell you guys that I am not having a new plushie there because it is definitely going to be different. Lisa's asking if I'm a USA. No, I am not from the States. I am actually in Europe. I am in the Netherlands, so just across the pond from you. I have family living in the UK. My nieces and nephews, I have four of them. They are in the UK, around the area of Somerset, North Somerset. I also have friends across the UK, various places and locations, both in Wales, Scotland, and England. And I am originally from Denmark. I'm grown up in Denmark, born and raised in Denmark. And then I moved to the Netherlands about 17 years ago to be with my partner. That makes me sound really, really, really old, but I guess life catches up with you at some stage. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And thank you for the sub. I first started crocheting again about 4 years ago. I used to crochet when I was younger. I was taught by my mom, but then I hadn't done it for many years. And then back in 2022, I got a crochet project in the store for a plushie with some really cheap yarns, actually. Um, I wouldn't even classify it as a valuable value acrylic. It was really cheap. And yeah, it didn't work out very well. But the plushie has haunted me since. I still have it. It looks absolutely terrible. It's the ugly chicken, not the ugly duckling, but the ugly chicken. And definitely the next version of that chicken plushie, which I made last year in the podiversary, has improved, but not a lot. Like, it still looks funky. Um, So my last take at this will probably be in a year's time, because that would be like 2 years between each. I'll then probably make no, I'll need 2 more years, but I'll probably make one in a plush yarn just to see if my skills improved or if it's indeed the pattern that is really poor. But that pattern got me back into crocheting, and it was a combination of me buying that pattern and 2 weeks later I got sick with the COVID, so I was in bed for a week, and yeah, I needed something to entertain me. That became the plushy chicken during some of the time, at least. Um, but I barely got started, and I ended up already then quickly to buy different tools to work with, because um, the crochet hook was in plastic and stuff like that was really cheap. Um, it would have gotten the work done, but not very well. Um, so my mom recommended me to get some better tools, and I did. So yeah, no, I'm not Australian, I'm not American, I am European, Central European. But I have traveled a lot, so that could be the reason why you hear plenty different accents, and my English has been commended and complimented a few times as well. Doesn't mean that I know all English words, but I definitely do know a lot of English words and vocabulary. Thank you for Denmark to making English obligatory when I was in fourth grade. Um, I also finished my education in English. That kind of helped too. So I wrote my whole thesis and everything in English. Speaking of blankets, this baby blanket is up to 50 centimeters with 2.5 skeins in it. I want it to be at least 76 centimeters. So I might need to add another yarn as a border. We'll probably go pure white. I think pure white would look gorgeous, Rev. And how many skeins do you have in total? Just the three or four? No way. There's no way I'm going to fatten behind a matching dialog for yarn they made back in the 1970s. Definitely not. Definitely not. But if you can find a similar thickness yarn with similar feeling to make a border, that would be just perfectly fine, I think. Lucy says I get called granny for crocheting, but I love it and it's so fun. It's not as granny as one would think. It's granny from many years ago, but it's definitely a lot more modern these days. Also, a lot of Olympians tend to end up doing this as spare time when they are at the Olympic City, because there is a lot of waiting time when you're competing. And this is a hobby that helps clear your brain. Um, so that is really nice to be able to get like have a getaway during something that is mentally taxing as competitions. You are welcome. You're welcome. Just going to watch my live and go crochet. Yeah, while doing so, feel free, enjoy, hang around. Don't forget to take something to drink while you're here. The cupboard in the corner does contain various drinks. Myself, I am on a good, nice tea. I totally forget to tell you guys today I am drinking a Dutch tea blend. It's called the Dutch blend. That is classic. Like it is compared a bit to an Earl Grey, but it's not an Earl Grey because Earl Grey has bergamot. It's not the bergamot. It has orange peels. That's it. So yummy. 2 centimeters to add the border. Rev says I had 3 full ones, and that one was loose. Might have been 3 ounces, but I'm not sure. I got this from a lady at my stitch group who was destashing. Oh my goodness, sounds like a win. It's always nice to get treats like that. Susan is knitting us. She's watching and hanging out with us. I could be knitting too. My knitting project is just over there by about an arm reach. Lucy doesn't even know how to hold the knitting needles. And meanwhile, also asked Susan what she's knitting, and Susan is saying that she's knitting Passionate Kelsey's Chunky Rib Knit Hat, which is basically the same I have on my needles, because I think it is a nice, easy, straight, simple forward pattern. And it fits the yarn I'm working up very nicely as well. Let's see, I could just quickly find it. Don't move. Circular. Nice. It's matching my cardigan really nice. It's a nice green. It's actually reasonably soft. Um, and we talked about the yarn. I'm basically holding it on the same way with my knitting needles. It's knit, purl, knit, purl. And I needed to get 11 inches before we start closing down, and it's anything but anywhere close to that. Could measure how far we have to go, but we have to go quite a distance. It's 3 by now, which means that we definitely have a quite way to go. But that's not for today. Unless, of course, we'll go this one to the end and we'll start knitting a bit. That could be an option. That could be an option. Russ says she said she was staple acre stash accumulated beyond life expectancy. That sounds like my stash. Well, though I'm not 100% sure if I'm there. Maybe. Depends on how long one expects to live. Right now, if I would be staple based on what I've stocked on Ravelry, I'm gonna be dead in 3.5 years. I'd rather not. I feel I should get a lot older than that. If I have I'm stable, I think, if I have 60 years, then I'm probably close to stable. Yeah. But I don't know if I have that yet. I still need to get a good look. And also, as I said, this year I am intentionally trying to work up my projects in a different way so that I can use a bit more yarn. So I may use more this year than I've done the 2 years prior. But if I look on 2024 consumption and 2025 consumption, we are definitely talking about 3.5 years. Susan says many people own too much yarn. Yeah, I think all of us almost own too much yarn with a few differences or a few expectations, but most of us own a lot of yarn. Lucy says I have 150 balls of yarn. So far, my stash on Ravelry, well, I'm having two options. So the stash I had before I started recording yesterday was 132. That's on Ravelry. But trust me, I have a lot more than that because um, I'm going through my yarn right now. We're doing we are sorting my yarns and stacking it in Ravelry. So I'm basically every about 2 weeks we'll have a video where I go through a new box of all my yarn and get it stacked and stocked. And we have at least another 25 episodes, I'm sure, if not more, before we're done. So yeah, buckle up. We are not even close to the finish. And some of them are really long cakes, right? I have the muffins, the Platter muffin cakes. They're 2 kilometers long. So if you do like yarn and chatting about yarn and stuff, that is why you should subscribe. Because we are definitely going to talk about yarn next week again. But yeah, amongst the things that I've decided to do for this year is I am going to knit more. For example, I can knit on the beanies when I'm watching telly with my partner, and that I do a couple of times a week, maybe at best. But still, it's like an hour here and there, right? Um, and that just helps me to do something. Like some of the things we watch, I don't need to be focused on the screen. Some movies you definitely need to, but um, some series, it's enough to just be able to listen sometimes. And then for those, I can definitely, without issue, just sit and get some knitting done. And that does help me consume a little bit more yarn. Last year, I do have those numbers still. It just needs to open. Do, 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 2025. Last year, I used 84 skeins. Um, that weighed a total of 6 kilos and 76 grams. And that had the length of about 15 kilometers. Actually, 14 kilometers, 952 meters. So, like, it missed 48 meters in 15 kilometers. Um, yeah, so that is quite a bit. In yards, that would have been 16,351. And in ounces, it's 214 ounces that I used last year. Um, and in 2024, I used a longer yardage but a lower weight of yarn and less skeins. So there is an improvement. There's an increasing line, but we are definitely not there. Lucy, that's not even a lot compared to some. For me, that's pretty close to my average. Um, but trust me, there is some people that is using a lot more than I am, and that scared me when I heard what some people use. But that's very important to say. Some people they are full time fiber artists and designers. They design patterns. That means that the only thing they do um, is crafting, right? And then of course they have a lot more time. Other people will have to attend school or college or work. Work is the thing. Some of us have to work. I work part time next to crocheting and other things in life. But for example, I try to have a project with me when I'm in the car, when I'm driving somewhere where it's a longer drive. I try to have a project with me if it's light and to work on. I don't always have the mood to work on it in the car, but I bring it so I have the opportunity to do so. Yeah, Reverend, you're also crazy. 25 skeins used so far this year. But Rev, will you crochet less in the summer, you think? Like when there are more things going on, or is it just like probably you're gonna keep on with this pace for the whole year? What do you think? So when I get visit from my cousin in 2 weeks' time, the benefit there is that she's a crafter too, so we can definitely sit and craft together. Um, I have never claimed not to be insane. Well, we're all crazy in our own way, I think, and I think it's probably unhealthy if you aren't a little bit crazy. That's my 5 cents. So we are turning the work around again, and I think we can definitely go this one to the end before the end of the stream. But as I said, when we get there, we may just knit for the last 10 minutes, depending on how quickly I get this one done. Because I do actually like to finish on a row. Plus, we could give it a quick measure on the fits, but I think we are not quite there yet. Rose says, I don't know my usage. It tends to be fairly even across the months. I have a good AC, so even in the summer it stays decent cool in here. A good AC is definitely worth it when you live in Texas. Um, Here it's just chilly. Well, sometimes it's warm in the summer, and that's when I'm like, oh, I really should get an aircon. But the thing is, Rev, it's maybe 2 to 3 weeks in a year where I really would like to have an aircon. The rest of the time, I'm like, yeah, it's fine. It's a bit warm, but it's not like, ugh. Lucy said she watched my haul video. Oh, cool. Which of them? I have many. Also need to get my plushie yarn stashed on Ravelry. We're not in a rush though. I've probably like 40 plus yarn haul videos, so there's quite a few to option between. That's why I'm asking. What's the biggest yarn you have? Like size wise with crochet hook? Like for the bigger hook? Or are we talking about like lengthwise? There's a big difference. Because the biggest yarns I have is probably if you talk about weight and length, that's going to be the muffins from Pleta. They're 460 grams to 2 kilometers. And if we're talking about big yarn, it's probably the plush yarn I have, which is still smaller than whatever you're working with. So that's similar to Hobby's Baby Snuggle. So no chunky yarn. I don't really do chunky yarn. I double layer my yarn if I want it chunky. So for example, this is considered sort of chunky, but that's because I'm double stranding these two, and they are probably somewhere between worsted and Aran weight to get it to chunky. Oh, that's not actually true. I do have one chunky yarn. I do have an Amigo, and it might be called chunky actually. So give me one moment. That is Hobby's website. Oh my goodness. They are having offers again. That's not good, not fun. Yeah, it's the Amigo Chunky, and that's classified as a bulky weight. So they recommend 9 millimeter needles for that. That's the thickest I have, and I just have one skein of it, and that is planned for a vest because I'm gonna combine it with something else. Oh my goodness. Ah, it's not on sale, so not too important. So I will show it. So give me one moment. I'm going to make a legged frog. So when will you come off live? Oh, probably around for another 20 minutes. So if I hear this would be the only, well, this would probably be the thickest yarn I have in my stash. I have one skein of these, which is the Hobby's Amigo Chunky, currently on sale for €5, 13. I don't remember what I paid for it, but. And the one I have is the petrol, and I see, look here, this says stopped, 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 stopped. So this is going out of their system, which I'm really sad about, to be honest. This is the one I have, one skein of this. That would be my thickest yarn in my stash. And then, of course, I do have some of their honey bunnies and similar velvet yarns, but I don't have a lot of velvet yarns because plushies is not my biggest thing, but I do make some. So this is just an acrylic, nothing fancy. But yeah, usually I stop my lives on top of the clock here at 5 p.m. Central European time. So that's 4 p.m. UK time, plus minus a few minutes. Because it gets closer to dinner time here, and I need to cook dinner for my partner who gets home from work. He will not be happy if he doesn't get dinner. He will look grumpy at me, mainly because he's not the best cook. So I win the food lottery of cooking. But I tell him it's all right. I don't mind cooking. If that means he's clearing up the kitchen after I cooked, that's kind of our deal. I cook, he cleans up after me because I can't leave a mess. And I absolutely, when I've been had my food, I'm in no mood to clean up. I just want to relax for 15 minutes. And he likes to get it cleaned up straight away. So that's kind of how we work, and it works great. And that's the most important part. You've always find whatever works for you and your family, and this works great for mine. Um, so Megan says I was thinking to start the Varro shawl by Diane Ramsey. Have you seen that one yet? No, I don't think so. Is that on Ravelry? Probably is. Like we talk often about patterns on Ravelry, so I am going to go look for it. Ooh. Let me share for the stream to watch. There we go. Here we have it. It's from Dingo Dye Works. No idea where, who, and what, but it looks nice. I like the colors. Hook size 4.5 to 5, so it's a bit thicker yarn. Oh, I like this one. I like this green one. Neat. I'm sure you could make the same in a thinner yarn. You may just want to add a few extra rows though. But I'm sure you could. Or you could option to make it with Hobby's Winter Glow. I think that could be gorgeous if you want a woolen blend. Let's go under Hobby. Well, we did that calm because, well, that's what it is. Winter Glow. There we have the solids, and that should be combined with mixed. So let's say if we take the white or cream from the Winter Glow, get it on discount, by the way. So wait by buying it until it's on discount. I think the chalk is too bright white, so I think you would want the cream, personally. That would be my optics here. Or the almond could be nice too, but depends on what color you combo it with. And then we'll go on the Winter Glow. And I think combine it with this one. Oh, mamma mia. That would be gorgeous. And then I would do either cream or the almond. I think the almond could work nicely too. But I think the cream would be better. Cream. So these are recommended needles, recommended crochet hook 5.5. Winter Glow would work fine with this pattern. Ta-ta! There's an option. No, it's not fingering weight. It seems to be thicker, the yarn she's using. Ah, yeah, yeah. Megan says I did the crochet along last year with KME Crochet with the Winter Glow at the Star Shawl or the Beyond Shawl pattern. Yeah, that was gorgeous. Um, that was definitely gorgeous. Oh, before I go off there, not now. I should go and favorite this because I do like finding new designers and stuff like that. So I just tend to add it to my stash for all my preferreds. But yeah, I think the winter cloak could be perfect for this particular shawl, for the Varro shawl by Deanne Ramsey. I think the winter cloak could work if one wants more of a woolen type shawl. I have some Rico Design Wonder Balls, which is very much like the Winter Glow too. Yeah, I think it would be pretty. The Winter Glow, definitely. I get all in the mood. But as I said, I would definitely wait by buying the Winter Glow then until it's on sale because would not want to pay $37 or 17 for that matter in the sellers. That's pricey. But you could also do other colors, like you could go the red style road, or I think the dusty rose curry ochre red clay would work fine if one wanted to do the almond. That would be a nice mix. Yeah, I can go back on. Yeah, that's my point. $37 is crazy, but that's because you have the import tax now. Thanks to tariffs. But this color combined with the almond here, that could be nice. Oh my goodness. Um, I am all in the all mood. Where would this be from, this yarn? It doesn't always say. It's South American wool, but does mean that it's made in South America. But it should say, oh, Italian. So it's Italian. It's made on an Italian spinnery. But I think this could be really gorgeous combined with almond. That would be so pretty. And then we are back at me being like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Now I'm dreaming and making plans, but I really shouldn't because, well, we all know one thing for sure. I have enough yarn as is. I should not buy more yarn right now. I need to destash my yarn, get it sorted and used. The end. I need to listen to Susan. Susan is so kindly to support me on my destashing goals. But I definitely have a few yarns that I'd love to pick up. And there is also some yarn creators where I'm like, yeah, I'd love to pick up skeins from them. They wind their own yarn balls, right? Or cakes. Where I'm like, yes, please. But I should not because I have plenty. I have more than enough to satisfy a lot of crochet time. But I'm happy to help inspire others. Susan, hobby yarn is expensive. And it is expensive because their normal price is what they basically they make money when they sell the yarns on sale. And they make up for the shipping during the normal price periods. Like that's why they can ship for reasonably low fees as well. But yeah, it is reasonably expensive. A part of that is also due to the fact that hobby is in Denmark. And a part of it is due to the fact that right now it's even more expensive for the Americans, but that you can thank Mr. Trump for due to the tariffs he's imposed on you guys. Oh, I crochet between the stitches and not in the stitch. That's why it looks so funny. Um, so it's obviously a combination of a few things. Um, but yeah, definitely hobby isn't cheap. That's also why I'm only buying from hobby when it's on sale because all of yarns eventually go on sale. Usually it's once every 2 or 3 months a specific yarn is on sale. So if you don't need it desperately here, right now, hold out until it goes on sale. Um, that's what I have done so far. I was so lucky that the yarns I needed last time was on sale, so I got them. And I got the extra with my points for free. So of course I was getting that because of course you don't say no to free yarn. That would be stupid. Rob says, even before the idiot in chief decided to nuke the global market, hobby was not really worth the price for me. Yeah, so that's my yeah. Depends on what you want and what you need, obviously. But hobby definitely is not cheap. Um, that we can agree about. Hobby has some yarns which you cannot necessarily get other places, and then sometimes it is worth shedding out the extra money. But not always. Not always. I do have the benefit that they ship a bit cheaper to me because I am somewhat closer. And yeah, they have beautiful yarns. So that's another reason for getting yarns from Hobby. Some of their cakes are just gorgeous, right? So I just can't leave them. I just have to get them. We do have a lot of cakes coming up on my sorting trip for sure. I think the majority of yarn I have is probably cake yarn of some kind. But yeah, they have really, really beautiful yarns at Hobby. Gorgeous. I did get a couple of cottons with them as well. Last time they were also on sale for a bag that I want to make. And I think their cotton yarn is a lot softer than other alternatives. So I think that cotton yarn is definitely closer to what you would consider wearable cotton. Um, so I've been debating if I should at some stage maybe attempt crocheting a top or t-shirt. That is going to take some time too, if I get there. For sure. Right now, this is just what we are doing. So that was another row complete. Mainly it's the top part that needs a little bit of stretching after and it stretches both ways. That's the nice thing about the stitch. So we do give it a bit of stretch because it seems much more logic to do so. So we definitely have easy. Can we get around my other arm? Just about. My goodness. That's a bit of a stretch, but check. We are just about making it around, but that's going to be a tight fit. We are pretty close. Awesome. What I may have to do is I have to compare this when I'm not having, because obviously I won't have this cardigan on when I wear it, so it's going to be less needed. But I may need just 2 more rows to get like a bit more relaxed fit. But I'm going to compare it when I just have my basic underneath. But that is going to be later. It's not going to be now. I don't have time for that now. Um, and then I think I'll need like probably I'll need to go back as well because this is like half a row. This is the end of a row. So if I would sew these together here, that would look a bit funky. So if I would need more rows, I would need 1 row or 3 rows likely. But I'm really happy with the progress. Definitely. So we are very close to being able to sew this piece together. This is like close to shoulder width. Let's get up here. Hey, you can see my pretty face. Needs a bit less. So it's not gonna be as long on the arms as I had first anticipated. It has shrinked a bit, so I could definitely have thrown in a couple of more stitches in the length. That said, I still think I'm going to be pleased with it overall. And depending on, I'm probably gonna have yarn left over after this. But I also have some really nice, more like rainbow yarn that would be color pooling. That could maybe work up nicely here too. Not sure, but could. I'm keen to test if that goes that direction, but I would have to redo everything again. I have the feeling it's gotten shorter during crochet. Maybe it hasn't, but let's just measure for funsies. How long is this? Yeah, it's shortened by like 10 centimeters during crochet. Well, that's good to know. So it's probably getting closer to the original size of a bit shorter sleeved version, but that's fine. That's also fine. I'll be okay with that. But I am super happy with the progress we made today. This is currently how we're looking. As I said, we may need just a few more rows just to make sure that I can get it on with a comfy fit. And that's pretty much it for today. We managed to slim this one in so much that it is now within the lines of the spool. That's also pretty nice. Coolio. Amazing. It's like 5 p.m. here. And that means it's time for me to close down for the stream for today. We had a great time together in Shell's company. At least I definitely enjoyed my time together with you. Awesome people. Wonderful time. What's more can one expect? I'm going to wish you all exactly what Megan says, a great weekend. I hope you everybody having a great weekend. To Lisa, if she's rewatching this, I hope she's having a great vacation when she gets there, but she does have quite a bit of travel to go. Um, yeah, thank you so much for hanging around with me. If you're watching it from the very beginning to the very end, thank you so much for being there and your support. It means the world to me. Um, yeah, everybody's saying goodbyes. Revenant says, have a great evening and a fantastic weekend. Yeah, definitely. I wish everybody the same. I'm definitely going to enjoy my weekend because for once I have a bit more freedom to just make my own plans. I don't have a bunch of things that I need to do. That is actually right nice. So I get some time to chill my brains a bit. That's needed. So I'm going to say thank you so much for being around. It was absolutely wonderful. And I'm going to see you guys in a new video. I'll be out with a new Sort My Stash on a Monday. There's about a half an hour video coming out on Monday. And then we'll be live again on a Wednesday around the same as usual, unless something else gets planned. I do have a few things to coordinate with my boss, so I don't know how the meetings will end up going. But the goal is to be around at 2 p.m. Central European time again Wednesday. So that is 8 a.m. Eastern or 7 a.m. Central if you're in the US. So early again. So yeah, love you all. Bye.